Tonight, New York's governor calls it quits. We'll tell you what Eliot Spitzer had to say about that sex scandal. And we'll get reaction from a Republican leader who did battle with Spitzer and survived. Housing problems. Freddie Mac's CEO says they've got enough capital and he will protect shareholders. But another executive says they're far from being out of the woods. Plus, it was the biggest beef recall in U.S. history. The head of the slaughterhouse goes to Congress and makes a startling admission. Details straight ahead.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters in New York City, this is Evening Edition on Bloomberg.
Hello, everybody. Mike Schneider here. Glad you're there. It's good to have you with us as we get underway for you on this Wednesday evening. And we do begin tonight with the end. The end of Eliot Spitzer's political career. Spitzer finally emerged from his Manhattan home today, went before the cameras, and made it official. He is resigning as governor of New York. He apologized for his behavior, but did not say one single word about the sex scandal itself that brought him down. Our Alan Dodds-Frank has been covering Spitzer for years and joins us now live. Alan.
Mike, 447 days after taking office as the governor elected by the biggest margin in New York history, Eliot Spitzer resigned in disgrace.
Over the course of my public life, I have insisted, I believe correctly, that people, regardless of their position or power, take responsibility for their conduct. I can and will ask no less of myself. For this reason, I am resigning from the office of governor.
During 2 terms as state attorney general, Spitzer had made his reputation as Mr. Clean, as the sheriff of Wall Street. A Democratic Party star sometimes mentioned as a potential presidential candidate, his dissent gripped New York. In today's 2.5-minute statement, the 48-year-old governor did not acknowledge he has been implicated as Client 9 in a federal investigation of an international prostitution ring.
I have been given much: the love of my family, the faith and trust of the people of New York, and the chance to lead this state. I am deeply sorry that I did not live up to what was expected of me.
Spitzer could face criminal charges. 1/2 hour after the governor's announcement, U.S. Attorney Michael Garcia issued this statement. There is no agreement between this office and Governor Eliot Spitzer relating to his resignation or any other matter. Last week, federal investigators filed criminal charges against 4 defendants who allegedly ran the Emperor's Club, which provided prostitutes at rates ranging from $1,000 to $5,500 an hour. The U.S. attorney has not identified Client 9. News reports say Spitzer is the man who allegedly paid $4,300 for a petite brunette to meet him in a Washington hotel room last month. Spitzer will be succeeded Monday by his 53-year-old Lieutenant Governor, David Paterson. He will serve the remainder of Spitzer's term, which ends in December 2010. Paterson, a former state senator, will be the first African-American and the first legally blind person to serve as governor of New York. Mike?
All right, Alan Dodds-Frank on the Spitzer story. So what is next for New York State? Changes. Lieutenant Governor Paterson moving up to become governor, and the state Senate Majority Leader Joseph Bruno becoming next in line of succession. He joins us now live from Albany. Senator, good of you to join us. We appreciate that.
Mike, thanks for your interest.
We heard you earlier today express some sadness and sympathy with the governor's family. But this is a governor who used the state police to try to go after you. So I ask you now, what do you feel about his departure?
Well, relief, like most New Yorkers, I think, relief that he get on with his life. He, in his own words, the healing process for himself, and he ought to be doing that. But we in New York State, we in elected office, we have an obligation to our constituency to get results for them. People are overtaxed, overburdened here in this state, so we have to go forward. So there's relief everywhere because everyone has been distracted here since all of this took place on Monday.
I want to talk more about where we go from here in terms of the legislative agenda, but also I do want to ask you, how would you characterize Spitzer's 15 months in office?
Troublesome, difficult, unfortunate, He kind of governed with intimidation and with threats. You know, being an effing steamroller, in his own words, going to run over anyone that got in his way, starting with me. It was just unfortunate in terms of a man with so much promise when he was campaigning, when he was elected, ends up being so dysfunctional, really, as a CEO, as a governor, and then this in terms of his own personal attitudes in his personal life. Tragic, sad, unfortunate for him, for his family, for everyone in New York State. But it's time to move on. We have to move forward. We have to get things done. That's where my head is with my Republican colleagues in the Senate.
All right, I want to ask you about your relations with your Democratic colleagues, both in the Senate, where they are a minority, and in the State Assembly, where they're the majority. We're hearing word tonight that Assemblyman Jose Rivera is introducing a bill that would try to amend the state constitution and prevent you from moving up to be the next in line of succession. Now, as I understand it, under New York's Constitution, you do not take on the title of Lieutenant Governor, but you do become the acting governor when the new governor, Governor Patterson, is out of state, or should he become, heaven forbid, incapacitated. What do you know about the legislative effort on the part of Rivera?
Well, nothing surprises me with the Democrats there, with the goings-on. But the Constitution is very clear. I, as the majority leader, assume all the responsibilities of the office of Lieutenant Governor. That includes succession. And that would take a constitutional change, to my knowledge, and that's two separate legislatures voting, going to a referendum of the people. So I haven't heard of this, but it's just nonsense, and it's politics and it's posturing, and it's not very productive. He and all the rest ought to get their act together, and they ought to be going forward, try and get a budget done. We have to get a budget done, and should by the end of this month. David Patterson is going to need friends. He's going to need support. He's going to need allies. He's going to need partners. We really all have an obligation now to govern, to move forward, and to stop this political nonsense.
Do you think this governor will have, with his experience, he's a Democrat who served a good number of years in the State Assembly, would you like to see him or expect to see him tell Assemblyman Rivera and the others, let's work things out here, let's not do it this way?
In order for the Assembly to move anything forward, it would have to pass the Senate, and that's not going to happen. So it's simply posturing, it's rhetoric, it's not very productive. David Patterson and I have always gotten along extremely well when he was minority leader and I was there with him. We get along very well, very straightforward, very upfront, and I have a feeling if you ask the governor here to be, that he would tell them to just cease and desist and let's go forward and try and get things done. We need results. We need to get a budget done. We need to be cutting taxes, property taxes for people here in this state, and that's really where we are. We are denying this afternoon in our budget resolution $1.7 billion that this governor proposed in new taxes and fee increases. So that's the debate that will take place starting Monday publicly.
Senator, how are you going to do that with only a one-vote margin of majority in the state Senate? You don't have a lot of cushion, do you, sir?
Mike, a majority is a majority, and all it takes 32 votes in the Senate to pass legislation. We just passed legislation this afternoon because we have 32 votes. That's a majority. And in cases of a tie, the lieutenant governor acts in procedural matters. I, assuming those responsibility, add another vote for the floor of the Senate. I actually, in some matters, would have two votes. One is majority leader, one is acting lieutenant governor.
Senator Bruno, so much to talk about, but we have to leave it there now, sir, and we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming on.
Mike, thanks again. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too, sir. Senator Joseph Bruno. We'll pause, take a break, be right back.